Here we go.
Hello, and thank you so much for joining us for tonight's screening of The Tuba Thieves, the final film in MPT's Indie Lens pop-up season, featuring hard-hitting documentaries from PBS's Independent Lens series. You can learn more about the series on MPT's website, and we'll put the link in the chat for you. Before we begin, I'm honored to introduce our event partner, Sherry Dowling, the Executive Director of the American Society for Deaf Children.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sherry Dowling, and I am the Executive Director of the American Society for Deaf Children, or ASDC. I'd like to tell you just a little bit about ASDC. We are a national organization that is a nonprofit that began in 1967. Our mission is to bring families together using American Sign Language, or also known as ASL. Our mission is to bring the community, everyone together using ASL. Research has taught us that during those first 3 years of life, all babies learn language. However, deaf babies need access to a visual language like sign language. Without sign language in those early years, some children miss out on learning any language, and this causes language deprivation. If a deaf child experiences language deprivation, many times they start kindergarten already behind, and many times they never catch up. Whether they are waiting for a cochlear implant or hearing aids or working on their spoken language, using American Sign Language during this time will support that language development and will help alleviate language deprivation so that all of our children start school ready to learn. We could fulfill our mission by providing ASL classes, both online and in person. We provide conferences, an ASL Stories directory, and resources for families, professionals, community members, or anyone that's interested in learning American Sign Language. After watching Tuba Thieves, I hope you are interested in learning, and if so, please visit our website and join us in learning American Sign Language and supporting our deaf and hard of hearing children. Enjoy the show tonight. Thank you.
Can't hear you, Jesse.
Sorry about that. Thank you so much, Sherry. We will now enjoy an abridged version of The Tuba Thieves. After the screening, we will be joined by two very special guests who will share their thoughts and reflections on the film, Rosalie Tim and Warren Wawa Snipe. So stay tuned and enjoy the film.
Hi, everyone. All right. Wow, watching that performance.
You know, for me to be able to see that, you know, sometimes it's just the greatest memories come to life from that. Creating the film, the cast, the crew, just being with them, the director, seeing that dream come to reality really, you know, it changes the view of the viewer. You know, as you're watching the movie, it really is a very different experience.
Yeah, and before we jump in, why don't we introduce ourselves? You go first, and you can tell us about your relation to the film and who you are.
All right. Well, my name is Warren Snipe. I go by Wawa. So for this film, my role was the
Nike's dad.
What was the Nike dad of it? So, you know, the father of Nike. So I just really enjoyed that experience.
And how long were you shooting this film? What was that timeline? When did you start until now? Your filming shooting days, how long was that whole process?
So the film, I believe it was about, I think it took about over 10 years of creating this documentary. Yeah. And for me, you know, sometimes I think, well, let me see. I think I was mostly in it for 1 week of it, but you know, that was a few years ago. So it wasn't too long ago, but you know, being in the film was really nice. It was really nice. A grand experience to say.
Wonderful. Well, I'm Rosalie Tim. I'm a performing artist, showrunner, host. I wear many different hats in the entertainment business, and I've done that for the last 20 years. I live in Maryland here, same as Wawa. We're both here
Yes.
in Maryland, so it's an honor to be a part of this viewing session tonight. While watching, I wrote down all of these incredible metaphors and powerful moments that were captured on screen. As a deaf person myself, growing up with these experiences of relating to sound and relating to our visual field and our visual senses and our auditory senses, it was just a beautiful way to capture those moments in life, that we all go through. If I can say one thing, Nike, as a deaf person, the actress is deaf and was a drummer, and the actress was also a drummer in real life. So, in working in that recording studio that Nike was shown in with all of the knobs and technology to run the sound, I thought that scene where the musicians had their headsets on and Nike was the audio engineer, the sound engineer, I believe, right? She was controlling the dials back there in the booth while the musicians were in the studio recording, printing that music and really getting a song laid down on a track. And so nobody was getting up and speaking, really. It was just that the musicians could hear what was going on, and we as the audience couldn't hear that. And that was such a deaf experience moment, for the audience to experience that like we do as deaf people.
Exactly.
It was just a chance to get a glimpse in feeling what that felt like. And then it transitioned into the actual recording room, where the musicians are recording and you can hear them talking and you can hear the music. But it was a cool transition and a bit of irony that was infused into that part of the film, I thought.
Yeah. And talking about Nature Boy, during that time where he was in the audiologist room, we've all been through that experience as deaf people. That kind of same old say, you have to kind of guess the words or raise your hand when you hear a sound, or just that whole experience. For some it's been beneficial, but for others, oh, it's traumatic. Oh, just the struggle. So it's sometimes people, when they see that, it triggers them. Whether it trigger positively or negatively, it triggers them. And sometimes people will say, they try to like fake their way through to make up words and things like that. You'll have your times like that. But to be able to have a documentary to reframe, to show what deaf people go through, that hearing people just don't know, that that's a part of what we have to go through, you have to be able to accept us who we are. So it was great to be able just to show that specific area where deaf people can show their various experiences and take it in a way to frame it where now hearing people are going through a taste of our experience. Just a taste, just a taste for it.
Yeah, in the audio booth, that brings me back to my childhood. They ask you, say this word, like say airplane.
Yeah.
And so they'll always use that, phrase, say this blank, say this. And so I was able to catch that one word in high school. airplane, cowboy, hot dog. Those words were in my short-term memory and I was using them. And then when they added the phrase in there, say this word, and they added the phrase, I thought they were saying a huge long word that I couldn't understand at all.
So it's interesting that you said that, because in my time it was say the word basketball and then say the word ice cream, right? And later on, it changed to I want you to copy after me.
No.
They say repeat after me. As I say, you say, oh, that threw me off. That threw me off. I'm like, okay, exactly. What am I supposed to say now? Yeah. It always changes. And I think they do that to challenge us. And I realize that some deaf people, they try to play the system to show that they know. So they change it up to make it like a little game out of it, I guess.
Yeah, and I recently saw someone's comment pop up that was talking about being a hearing person and said that the captions were interfering with the ability to enjoy and fully immerse. So I want to bring up this term interfere. The person that commented the word interfere, does that interfere with your experience or does it interfere with your comprehension of the film? I'm interested in the interpretation of that word, interfere. I don't know if the person on here who commented that can expand on that feeling. I saw that comment. I saw a different comment from someone else who is hard of hearing and is wondering about captions for this live event. Is there the ability to turn on captions? Someone with hearing loss who does not use sign language is looking for captions on this live event. And unfortunately, I don't see that option. So let's go ahead and get to discussing. I just wanted to be sure that the person without access was provided access. If someone in the backstage area can figure out how to provide captions, that would be amazing. I just want to talk about interfering again.
Texture.
The texture that comes up with, music, different instruments, guitar, piano, flute, violin, they layer over each other to make sound and to make a sound experience, right? So adding texture to the dialogue, to the story, having the decibel level listed, that was relevant. That mattered to me. Being where I was focused on deafness and the ability to hear or not to hear when I was growing up, I wanted to catch all of these pieces and relate them all together. And so the scene became different for me. There's like a different rush or flow of waves, and there were opinion words that were integrated into these captions that were provided in the film. And so I'm seeing water rushing differently. The captions definitely add that texture, that piece of, feeling that we want. And I enjoyed it.
Right. And if you notice, each had color-coded reasons why the captions came in different, colors. So just knowing where that came from as to why they are color-coded, what that does is allow us to be more included, because we're like, okay, we see this sounds like this, and it has certain colors to be able to incite certain emotions with us. So then on the film, because hearing people, they are getting this rich noise, this rich ambiance, right? And we aren't getting it until the captions pop up. And then we're saying, wait, that sounds there too? Why didn't I know that? The music in the background, you know how much context that gives. It gives ups and downs. you know, just as you mentioned, Rosalie, just it adds to the layers or the textures to be able for us to know some stimulus, right? For us to just be able to know exactly what's going on. And that is a level of deep access that feels immersive. It feels 3D. It feels good to be able to see that, to be fully included. And instead of us being forced to ask, hey, what did this sound like? Or what did this look like? Instead, we have the captions. It's all there, center stage for us to see and enjoy at the same time as our hearing people.
Yeah, the movie, it should be an experience to watch the movie. And captions don't just have to be there for access, but they can be there to add to the experience, bring in that human emotion, the narrator's perspective. I want those extra pieces of stimuli during my movie watching experience that just add more to the story, add more for me to enjoy, help me build my picture behind the scenes, and watch with amazement.
And we've all seen, properly formed films, right? You've seen from the first opening door, the first thing that catches people's eye. Let's go to IMAX, right? IMAX theaters, right? They're like one of the worst 5, right? or Apple Pro. Apple Pro has this immersive type of way that we can get into a movie or film to have that experience. And as these things continue to develop, it allows the community to be able to realize, wait a minute, access is paramount. It's paramount for everyone. It should be for everyone.
For sure, yes. The human experience is so vital for all of us. You're exactly right. And I will say one thing about the part where the marching band is going by with their sets, and then they showed the area where the tuba was stolen, and they showed through a metal grated fence, where the captions said indistinct voices, right? And so for me, I read indistinct voices as, seeing communication through a fence. I know something's happening on the other side, and I recognize that there's movement, but do I know exactly what's going on? No. And so, it's like listening to a loudspeaker. Sometimes it's blurry. You can't hear as well because of different things getting in the way, like the fence did visually. So I liked that parallel between the sound being blurry and the fence making visible things blurry.
And that was such a short part of the film. That was such a small part. But to be able to look at the whole film, there's so many hidden gems dipped in between and throughout the film that you'll be able to notice that really pop out and that makes the viewer pay attention, because you want to make sure you're not missing anything. So it makes you catch everything. Such a brilliant script, such a brilliant idea from idea inception to its actual production to the cast that was on it. To be able to make this film, it required a lot of research. It required a lot of learning on the way. It required a lot of collaboration. And that was so nice to see. And to be able to watch, when you all watch the whole film, you will see, okay, what did I just watch? You may feel like that. You may feel like I don't totally understand.
Maybe you want to watch it again.
Right. And we should. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think that we can use those characters and those deaf actors and their real names and their real stories to kind of reflect back on the movie. And it does parallel their real life. So it's nice to see their real story and to see, you know, real life experiences that deaf people had, like the San Francisco Deaf Club. So much rich history with bands and San Francisco Deaf Clubs. You know, history in inviting bands. I believe there's a documentary about that coming out soon. And then it's so nice to see this rock and roll band going, and there's just a deep conversation happening at this deaf club between this deaf family and their friends, right in the middle of all that livelihood and ruckus music. It's just great to see.
But it's true. Everything is happening at the same time, and we have to capture it all within 1 second in one frame. You know, this happens when you go to a party, side conversations happening, music's playing, people playing game things on, so many things that happen. So be able to show all that. We gave you a chance, the viewer, to see through our deaf eyes. And that, again, it's just a hint of what you see through our eyes and our experience. So
your experience, you know, did they give you a script to follow exactly, or you know, was it partially like, hey, Wawa, can you improv this, or did they set up the scene? What did that look like?
Ooh. When I was asked, actually, I wasn't asked to audition for the role. This role was given to me, and I was thinking, oh, I mean, okay, just because the director thought I would be perfect for the role. And when I seen the script, oh, match made in heaven. I fell in love with it. You know, at this time when it was first proposed, I only had really worked with one other actor previous to. Some I haven't worked with. Some maybe I've heard their name around, you know, and some have worked. Some looking at me like, "Oh my gosh, you're Wawa." So I'm thinking, okay, I guess I am qualified for this job. All right, let me clean my stuff up. So, as I got to the set and I'm meeting the cast and the crew, instantly we had a connection from the first day. We were just chatting all the time, and it was like it was like as Nike's dad, the character is Nike's dad, and the actor for Nike. The actor is such a kind heart. You know, me Wawa, in my real life, I have children. I'm a father. So for us to bring that bond to the screen, and Nike, the actor, felt the same way. So for us to be able to truly learn and share with each other, for us to be able to figure out how we're going to take the script in English and put it into sign language, you know, I had did it as a father. I didn't want to look too old, but didn't want to look too young. So what that did, that process developed a relationship between each other to really think, you know what, that really is my girl. It felt like that. And on set, it felt like that. After set, oh, we were talking all day. It was so great. It was great. So what that did was, I don't know exactly what I was exactly what I touched on at that moment, but what I would say,
Wawa touch. Not sure what that exactly was.
thank you. Yeah, so to give it the Wawa touch, you know, for me, how did I bring that out? Is really I needed to bring the father out of me. I needed to show some love. And what that did, that helped me also. And it allowed me to admire, you know, my daughter, the adult in this situation. Just to be able to go through the script, to really envision it. And I was really happy that she had bear with me. I was so grateful for that.
It was beautiful work, just beautiful teamwork. Yeah. Well, cool. I think that I would like to hand it over to the audience for audience questions. But yeah, go ahead.
Yes, before we do, one more thing. I'm not sure if you all do not know sign language, if you guys are not into the deaf culture or anything. I want to talk to my disabled body people. I want to talk to all of you. Oftentimes, we are asked, what does access look like to you? So when we're asked, my response really is, I don't know. But when able-bodied people are asked, you're thinking, okay, access, I don't know what that looks like. I'm not sure. So I want all you to think about this. What if you all become us in the future? If something happens where you think about, okay, this has to apply, what would access look like? What would it look like if it applies to you, your family, your pets, your children, anybody? What does access look like? And now in the 21st century, access should be something that everyone knows about. That's just my 2 cents to put in.
Perfect. All right, getting the chat up to see some questions. Okay, so if there are any questions from the audience, or if you'd like to share your viewpoints about the film, I'll wait a few moments for those comments and questions to chat up, and Wawa and I can chat about the film more at length once we get those.
I know several people comment that they enjoyed the film. Somebody comment, I have a lot of questions that may have came about. Some people say I didn't have any questions that came up, but I really want you all to think about it. All right. Whatever's in your heart, I'll try my best to answer. Think about it.
While you are all digesting, thinking of questions, I'm wondering, were there any more thoughts behind the captions? There was one that said the tuba stretched, and then again the tuba stretched, but then the letters actually stretched out as well. So I'm struggling to understand the significance or the motivation behind that choice.
Right. So in music, sometimes what we have to do is hold a note. So that's how it sounds, right? So that's essentially the stretching. So that stretching of the note, or let's say the inflection of the note, or the reverb is happening, right? Right. As those things are happening, they're all happening at the same time. So, and it could be brash on the lungs sometimes if we're trying to do that, but that is the stretch. So if you notice in the captionings, the decibels, right? The dB that came up. That is, I hope I'm saying it right, decibel, right? So you see in the captions, it said, okay, 80, 90, 100, and it went up again. So that is for people who can hear, you can recognize that the noise is escalating higher and higher. But if you cannot hear it, what do? We will say, you guys can say, oh my goodness, it's getting louder, but we wouldn't know. So showing that, wow, that was a way for us to put another step of inclusion in there. And that was the first time I seen that in a film. So I asked my friend who was growing plants. So I asked him about humming.
Yeah, That was funny what we just saw.
And what that did was the humming is he just So I was trying to relate to the noise, but I was trying to figure out, all right, how do I hear that? My friend, he can hear it, and I'm just saying, wow. I would like to see more of the voice, so that's why we added that.
So your voice died off and the plant voice came up? Or what if the plant died? What does it sound like?
I guess I'll just be scared like a cat. If my voice had went off, I wouldn't be able to hear it. Just trying to figure out if everybody was alive and breathing. It's just I'll never forget it. I thought plants really you just pour water on and watch it grow, but he actually hummed to his plants, so that was just interesting. And he did that for all plants. I don't know if he did it to all plants, but he definitely talked to some of them. It was some type of vibration thing that he found in his research that it actually works for plants. They can kind of move to the sound. Like, I didn't even know trees could actually move. It was amazing. It's amazing how the world functions, honestly.
Okay, so someone had said now watching us discuss this on our panel, you want to watch it again through a different lens. All right, wonderful. Yeah, there's so many metaphors you can find and pick out after watching a couple times. Yeah. There's a good question I see from Susan Walker.
It says, another one says, I really enjoyed. Oh, you want
the one above that I was talking about? Does the documentary go into detail about the effect of the tubas being stolen? All the way through, or was that just excerpts, or is that explained at the end?
Oh, so that is a true story. That really happened. It was such an odd thing, but that actually was in the news that tubas were actually being stolen out of various high schools in that local area. Now you would think, why we're stealing tubas? Where's the benefit of that?
And does the movie answer the question?
The movie, the actors, right? The movies doesn't show that, but again, it's a real story. This is based on a true story. So it was just such an odd thing to be able to think, and we like odd things to make things unique, make them stand out, right? So just a brilliant move to be able to apply something that really happened into the movie. I thought, honestly, it would be a good question to ask the actual actor or directors to figure out why they put that into the movie. I don't think I'm the right person for that, but that would be a good question.
If you know me, I like to see the irony in things. So Tuba Thieves, and tubas are a musical instrument and a sound-based instrument. And so I'm thinking, sound being stolen, the tuba can't make its sound anymore. And we're making sound, in our own ways, but as a hard of hearing or deaf director, pulling from real life situations to make these metaphors come alive with stealing sound and putting it into captions, showing that in a story of our own version and how sound can be stolen and repurposed. I thought that was...
Yes, to just think about it. And the first time when you watch it, all you can think about is the sound. You can think about the sound and the myth that deaf people do not like music, or deaf people cannot enjoy music, that we don't enjoy to play these different instruments. So you would have to watch the whole thing to get a better concept of how we can use sound, and really the word for is interpret, how we can interpret it so everyone can enjoy it. because sound itself, honestly, deaf people enjoy music. We really do. We love music.
You're a great example of that. For those of you who do not know, Wawa is a nationally recognized rapper, one of several deaf rappers.
I love what I do.
And yeah, you can look up Wawa Snipe, look up his album.
And other things, of course. Okay, I see we got some questions. Let's look at them. Okay, Melanie Hampton says, do deaf feel the tuba sound? Yes. Yes, we do. So if you're meaning from afar, I couldn't tell you. Some may not, because deaf people have heightened senses, so they may be able to feel from afar. Some maybe not. But if have our hand order, I mean, of course we can feel it. But to identify and say, can we identify specific notes from the tuba? No, we're not particularly able to do that. We can do that with training, with proper training, we can.
I see another question about advocating for more inclusive captioning in films and TV shows, TV series. I am not aware of activist groups working to improve this, but I know that there are groups of artists who are framing this question and this concept in more liberal terms, like captioning. What does rain sound like? Is the rain angry or is the rain light? How does the rain make you feel in that moment? Typically, those feeling words are not included in normal subtitles or captions. Christine Sun Kim, who did the poem in the middle of this film series, was someone who was borrowing different topics and themes and pushing the boundaries to be more inclusive in captioning. But is there a proposed law with FCC or anything like that? I'm not aware.
Not that I know of. Artists do try to reframe it and pushing different platforms to add the captions. When it comes to let's say an audio description, I believe that is not standardized. There are some visual descriptions that happen, but the visual descriptions come from essentially having the maybe captions or having the description involved already within the production. So to see how it's happening, it allows a level of access. And that access has to evolve with time. It really has. Yeah, right. Technology helps too. Technology helps. So as technology continues to improve, we will be able to have access to everything. And it won't take a long time, but it requires us to put our heads together if we want the time to shorten. Because if we want this to happen, this will happen. So many people wanted this level of access to happen like yesterday. So those people need to roll up their sleeves and get to work. And that will be better for the next generation that we have.
Beautiful. Wonderful comments. Your experiences really help us, to understand this film. As a deaf person, as a hearing person, we have different perspectives on the world and on, movies and topics. And so it's nice to see different perspectives come through in this discussion, from young to old, person to person, people of color, females. It's nice to see this representation in a film like this. And so it's just, we're all looking forward to watching it again and again and again. And I know everyone's still digesting it.
And I know for many people, this was a first taste. Let me put it like this. Most people know I love coffee, right? But if you can remember the very first time you tasted coffee, that bitterness, I don't know. But the more you drunk it, it started getting a little better. It's as you say, acquired taste. That's how this film is. It's an acquired taste until it becomes normal. And that's the goal, to allow more exposure to this kind of content so it can be more standardized everywhere. So that impossible can become possible.
Right on. Great. So I think we are wrapping up. We're almost at time. But do we want to make any last closing statements?
I mean, a lot of people saying this has impacted them greatly. I really think that. I want to thank all of you. Thank you. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for watching and enjoying this screening. Please watch the full film. I believe MPT will release this. Whatever they do, please put it out there. Share it with your friends. Whatever you do with it, please. And really, thank you, Rosalie, for coming.
Oh, thank you, Wawa, and thank you to the interpreters, and thank you to everyone back behind the scenes working on tech, and thank you to all of our audience members for attending. It was very fun.
All right. Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
Enjoy. Well, on behalf of MPT, I want to say a big thank you to our special guests, Rosalie and Wawa. That was an amazing discussion. Thank you to our partners, the American Society for Deaf Children, and to Mabel and Klijah, our ASL interpreters. And of course, thanks to all of you for tuning in from home. If you enjoyed tonight's screening, you can view the full Tuba Thieves film through the link in the chat that we'll share with you. And also, we'd love to hear your thoughts on tonight's event, so please consider taking our survey. Those that complete the survey will be entered to win a $50 gift card. You can text TUBA to 415-223-8013. That's TUBA to 415-223-8013. Visit the link in the chat or use the QR code on your screen. Thanks again, everyone, and have a great night.